Aloha! Yes, I'm donning my amazing and favorite Hawaiian shirt here. Got my grass skirt somewhere, but, oh sure, I have it on. Yeah, right now, you just can't see it. But at any rate, the reason I have all this on is that we are talking about Hawaii. This goes with a handout that looks kind of like this, except this says Cuba. I can't find the one that says Hawaii. But, it looks just like this. And we're going to be talking about how the cause and effect of the events that led us to take Hawaii. So, we embark upon this imperialist era. It becomes clear to us that we want to maybe expand America's influence around the world and take colonies for a number of reasons, which we talked about last time. And then we took we bought Alaska, and our next area of conquest is going to be Hawaii. So we're going to talk about the steps that happened to bring Hawaii into the United States as a territory. Okay? So you can see on your cause and effect sheet that you already have this stuff written. In the 1820s, the missionaries are sent and establish Christian schools and churches. That's part of the assumption that we need to Christianize the Hawaiians so that they will go to heaven, and it's up to the missionaries to go there and spread their Christian faith. The outcome of that is that it's really the first Americans who have contact in Hawaii, and they write back and talk about how wonderful Hawaii is in many ways, and so it inspires interest in Hawaii. The climate there is perfect for growing sugar, and so Americans go and buy up land in Hawaii and begin these huge sugar growing plantations. And they can't get many Hawaiians who've lived fairly leisurely, sustainable lives on the Hawaiian Islands. They can't really get them interested in working like slaves for hours and hours a day in these sugar plantations, so they bring in lots of contract laborers. And so at that point, the native Hawaiians actually become a minority in their own country. They become outnumbered in Hawaii. So automatically the native Hawaiians kind of have a massive change or shift in their who is numbering and controlling their homeland. So in 1875, there's this treaty that makes goods between Hawaii and America not have a tariff on them. Oh, by the way, this map shows you exactly where Hawaii is. If this is the United States and this is Australia and Japan right here in Asia, Hawaii is really quite well located right there in the middle. It would be a great stopping off point for our ships headed to Asia, for example. So geographically, Hawaii has a lot to offer the United States. So what happens in 1875 is this treaty lets Hawaiian sugar be sold in America without any extra taxes or tariffs on it. So sugar growing in Hawaii becomes much more profitable. American growers expand their holdings there and become very enthusiastic about growing sugar in Hawaii because basically they're making a killing selling it in America. And this is where America really gets its taste for sugar, you know, the kind of sugar that we have come to love in America. Our sugar addiction really starts during this time period as sugar becomes very inexpensive and available. In 1887, we actually acquire a naval base there. And so the Navy, our military, also becomes dependent upon Hawaii. In Pearl Harbor, the naval base there is key to our growing military strength and stability. So in 1887, there's this king of Hawaii. You can just look at this picture of King Kalakaua, and you can tell that he really seems to be identifying not with native Hawaiians and their kind of tribal social structure, but instead with the colonial powers. He's really tricked out here in Western-looking military uniforms with lots of decoration. He is forced to change the Constitution, and so suddenly the only people who can vote are people who have land. And so the native Hawaiians are stripped of their voting rights, and it gives basically the wealthy Americans all the power in Hawaii's society. And then in 1890, the tariff law changes, and suddenly Hawaiian sugar is going to be taxed again as it enters the United States, and so it's going to become relatively more expensive. And so the American growers in Hawaii are really angry because suddenly it's harder to sell their products in America because of this tax. So hopefully you can see where this is all heading. The Americans really need either the tariff law to be changed or they need Hawaii to become a part of America. And then the tariff won't be applied because it won't be goods coming from a foreign country. It'll be goods coming within the United States, and therefore the tariff or the tax will not be applied. So suddenly there's a growing control of white sugar growers in Hawaii of the government. And suddenly there's a greater interest in making sure that Hawaii does become part of the United States so they can avoid paying the tariff. Well, unfortunately for the white sugar growers, in 1891, the king dies, and Queen Liliuokalani, his sister, also called for obvious reasons just Queen Lily. She gains power, and she really disagrees with what her brother has done, and she really thinks that authority and power should be returned to the native Hawaiians. And so she insists on Hawaii for Hawaiians, and she removes the property qualification for voting, or she wants to remove the property qualification for voting. Well, suddenly it becomes clear that Queen Lily's agenda and the white American sugar plantation owners' agendas are quite different from each other. And so they are going to fear Queen Lily and actually take her prisoner and imprison her in her palace, where they will make sure that she is unable to influence the events on the ground. She does write a very eloquent letter from her palace imploring the Hawaiian people to carry on her battle for her, given the fact she's imprisoned. But they quite literally take control of Queen Lily so that she cannot return Hawaii to the Hawaiians. So, in 1893, the U.S. ship Boston magically appears off the coast of Hawaii, and some Marines deploy, and they join with the business interests in Hawaii to take over the offices of the Queen and imprison her. And a new government is created in Hawaii by the white Americans, and they're headed by Sanford Dole. This is him in all his bearded glory. And that is the same Dole as Dole Pineapple or Dole Fruit Company. So you can see that, in fact, Mr. Dole has a huge stake in seeing that Hawaii does, in fact, become a part of the United States and that tariff is avoided. So in 1897, McKinley becomes president, and he supports annexing Hawaii. And so Hawaii is annexed. It becomes a United States territory, and later in the 1950s, much, much later actually, it will become a state of the United States. It should be noted, though, that the president at the time was not McKinley, it was Grover Cleveland. And Grover Cleveland thought this whole deal stunk up to high heaven, and he refused to recognize Hawaii as a territory. He wanted some indication that it was the will of the people, the native Hawaiian people, to have Hawaii become a territory, but he leaves office, and when McKinley is elected, he papers over that whole disagreement with a quick annexation of Hawaii. So, it wasn't without its controversies, but eventually Hawaii does become controlled by the white business class with the help and support of the U.S. Marines. Okay, so hopefully that has given you a little background on how we came to be interested in, involved in, and control Hawaii, and how the native Hawaiians became outnumbered in their own land and overpowered by the business interests that will come to profit from the control of the Hawaiian land. Okay, see you in class. Thanks. Bye.